There's a specific number in your bank account where money stops feeling like a leash and starts feeling like a tool. It's not six figures, it's not a million, and it's smaller than almost every finance influencer will admit. The number is $20,000. Once you cross it, the entire game changes. Not because 20K is a lot of money, it isn't, but because of what it does to your brain, your career, and the math compounding underneath it all. Most people in their 20s will never hit this number, not because they can't, but because nobody told them why it matters. I'm Bryan. I'm 28, I work as a software engineer at a pretty average firm on an average salary, and I crossed this number in my mid-20s. Here's everything that changed. Building wealth feels like pushing a boulder up a hill. The first stretch is brutal. You're sweating, making no real progress, watching your salary disappear into rent, food, transport, family, the random late-night online order you swore you wouldn't make. That's every dollar, from zero to about $20,000 of liquid investments. But once you get the boulder over the top, it doesn't need pushing anymore. It rolls. Here's the math that proves it. If you DCA $800 a month at an 8% return, roughly what the S&P 500 has averaged long-term, your first $20,000 takes about 24 months. 2 years of saying no to fancy brunches, no to that overseas trip your friends planned, no to the cart you keep loading up at 2 a.m. Most people quit somewhere in this stretch. They hit month 8, month 9, see the balance still feels small, and convince themselves the journey isn't worth it. But your second 20,000? Around 21 months. Your third? Even less. Same job, same monthly DCA, same risk. The only thing that changed is that your first 20,000 started doing some of the work for you. By the time your portfolio hits 400,000, which is genuinely achievable in your 30s if you start in your 20s and stay disciplined, you generate the next 20,000 in 5 months, without saving an extra dollar. The amount that took you 2 years of grinding shows up in your account every 5 months on autopilot. That's not luck. That's just what happens after you cross the hill.
But here's what most personal finance content completely misses. The real reason $20,000 is the number isn't the math. It's what it does to your head. When you have nothing saved, your brain runs on survival mode. Every decision gets filtered through fear. You take the first job offer because you can't afford to be picky. You stay at the firm with the toxic boss because leaving means no income next month. You say yes to projects you hate because rent is due on the first. This isn't being responsible. This is your brain being too overloaded by short-term threats to think about long-term anything. It's like trying to plan your retirement strategy while your house is on fire. There's actual research on this. Vanguard found that just having $2,000 in emergency savings increases your sense of financial well-being by 21%. $2,000. Less than most people drop on a single overseas trip, but it moves you out of pure panic mode. Push that buffer to 3 to 6 months of expenses, which lands somewhere around $15,000 to $25,000 for most working adults, and your well-being jumps another 13%. More importantly, your brain finally has space to think about wealth instead of just survival. That mental shift is the entire game. And it shows up everywhere, especially at work. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you're trapped. Your manager could be unreasonable, the work could be soul-draining, but you can't leave. You need that next salary credit to clear your bills. Everyone in the room can feel it. You negotiate from weakness. 20 grand changes that completely. Suddenly you have what people call walking away money. You could resign tomorrow and survive comfortably for 6 months while you find something better. And here's the wild part. You usually don't even need to use it. Just having it changes how you show up. You ask for the promotion. You push back when scope creeps. You apply for that role at the bigger company that pays 30% more. You stop nodding through meetings where you actually disagree. People notice. You start getting better assignments, better visibility, and yeah, better pay. The more confident you get, the faster wealth builds. The faster wealth builds, the more options you get. The funniest part, the person grinding hardest, who needs the job most, almost always earns less than the colleague who could leave at any moment. The one who doesn't need it is the one who gets paid more. That's not unfair, that's just leverage. There's one more shift that happens around $20,000 that's hard to explain until you actually feel it. You stop seeing surprises as disasters and start seeing them as openings. When you're broke, every unexpected expense is a 5-alarm fire. Your laptop dies. There goes a few thousand. The aircon needs replacing. Your landlord raises the rent at renewal. Each one wrecks your plans and pushes you deeper into the hole. When you have $20,000, those same events become mild inconveniences. The repair is annoying, not catastrophic. The dead laptop is a chance to upgrade. The rent hike becomes a reason to negotiate a higher salary or finally start looking for a better place. But it goes further. You start seeing opportunities you literally couldn't see before. A friend mentions they're starting a business and looking for angel money. Before, you'd nod and move on. Now, you can actually consider whether $5,000 makes sense. A property in a good area gets listed under market value. Before, you scrolled past. Now, you run the numbers. There's a course or certification that could genuinely shift your career. A boot camp, a part-time master's, a cloud cert. Before, I can't afford it. Now, you weigh the return. This is what people mean when they say money goes to money. It's not a conspiracy. It's just that having a base of wealth gives you options, and options create more chances to build wealth. People with nothing don't get to consider anything. But here's where most people mess this up. And I see it constantly. They hit 20,000, feel that shift, and then immediately blow it on something stupid. A car because they deserve it, after years of public transport. A new iPhone in the most expensive variant. A solo Europe trip to treat themselves. A lifestyle upgrade that quietly resets the clock to zero. Don't do this. That 20,000 is not a reward. It's the foundation of every single dollar you'll build from here. Let me put it in real numbers. The average person spends more on cars over their lifetime than they'd need to be financially free. Between payments, insurance, fuel, and maintenance, most people drop the equivalent of $700 to $1,000 a month on transport. Over 40 years, that's nearly $500,000 gone, just to get from point A to point B. Meanwhile, they'll tell you they can't afford to invest. The moment you understand opportunity cost, a $30,000 car stops being a $30,000 car. In 20-year compounded terms, you didn't spend $30K, you took $200,000 out of your future self's account. The person flexing the new car on Instagram is usually stressed about money behind the scenes. The one taking public transport and quietly DCAing into the S&P 500 every month. That's the one who hits financial independence at 45 while everyone else is still chasing their next bonus. So back to the start. $20,000 isn't a magic number because of the digits. It's the threshold where your brain stops running on survival mode, your money starts pulling its own weight, your career stops being a cage, and surprises stop being disasters. It won't make you rich. It won't even feel like a lot depending on where you live. But it will quietly change every financial decision you make after it. And that's worth more than most people realize. Most people will never get there because they never realize how much is waiting on the other side of that hill. Now you know.